Hey, hi. Welcome to my channel. I am the smartest person on the planet. I'm looking for challenges to say otherwise. And I'm going to start off today with explaining the theory of everything, okay? But first we're going to open with a joke. I think, I live in a world surrounded by idiots and morons that think they get it and haven't got a clue. Everybody is in this group some way or another, and today I'm going to pick on the scientists. Scientists crack me up, man. They say that some of the stupidest things. For example, they say God was something that was created by man to explain things they can't understand. And just exactly how does that not explain science? Made up by man so that he can explain things he don't understand. Well, explain this, Mr. Science Dude. Okay, some 4,000 years ago, some dude figured out the Big Bang Theory and wrote down a brief outline. He didn't have the paper ink to go into the details that you know, but still, he got the correct order of the way things happened during creation. And then he knew enough without science. I mean, he did this without science. No telescopes, no nothing. He just figured out the Big Bang Theory and the sequence of events that took place. And then he knew enough to preserve it so that it could stick around long enough for us to have the technology needed to actually date 4,000 years ago this thing took place, or 2,000, however long it's supposed to be. It still happened quite some time ago. Okay, and they did it without science. So, that one I think is funny, because, science exists because God created everything, so therefore God created science. And, gee whiz, scientists are going to use this tool that God gave us so that we can understand things, and he's going to use it to prove that God does not exist. Just how stupid does that sound to you? But we're going to use science to prove there is no God by proving the theory of evolution is real. But when they went to prove the theory of evolution, and that's how we got here without God, what did they come up with? Intelligent design. Oh, no, it's not going to be God. We didn't say we discovered God. We say that there was some sort of intelligence behind it, which, by the way, is God. But this is why scientists cannot explain string theory, because the theory that explains everything will explain the existence of God, and since they refuse to acknowledge the existence of God, they can't solve the theory of everything, or string theory, as they call my own. I was working on my own theory to explain everything when I heard about string theory. And okay, well, if that's the theory that explains everything, then, I should be able to apply what I've learned in my theory to explain everything and apply it to string theory. Multiple dimensions. Oh yeah, I understand that. Of course, when they said unlimited multiple dimensions, I knew it wasn't just, gee whiz, every decision everybody makes, there's two ways to go and reality splits. No, that's been going on way too long. I don't care how many infinite numbers there is. There'd be way too many to keep track of. But alternate dimensions could be time travel. And that's a whole nother story. I'm just saying that's the way it works. Let's go. We got 11 dimensions to name. Let's start off with the easiest, obvious one, God. God exists as total energy. I would like to use the planet Jupiter as an example of what God energy is like, because just like Jupiter has those bands that go in different directions, and a big red spot, which compared to the planet Jupiter is just a little red spot, there are probably upper atmospheric conditions going in one direction and middle atmospheric conditions going in the other. And on Earth, as you get closer to the water, you get interactions with the water and the air. And you have currents and ocean jet streams and air jet streams, and there's a whole bunch of energy moving around in a fluid state. And, well, that's what God is like. It's just all energy, all thought energy, but different areas of it. And, well, my best understanding of what this is all about is my earliest childhood memory. It was in the womb. I was seeing therapy my whole life, and every doctor says, hey, what's your earliest childhood memory? And I always, try to beat what I had last time, and I quit doing that when I got to a point in my memory where I was going to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep because I had a really cool thought going in my head, and I didn't want to lose it by going to sleep. But then I remembered, okay, hey, this has happened before. All right, I remember having a thought and didn't want to lose it, and I went to sleep and I woke up and I remembered the thought, so I didn't have to worry about going to sleep because I'll be able to remember it and then continue going on. And that's about as far back as I can get, and that's in the womb. And the only reason I mention that is because I knew I went to sleep and I knew I woke up, but I didn't know which one was longer. Was I awake for a bleep and sleeping a real long time, or was I sleeping a beep and awake a real long time? And that's what problem God had. He knows he exists, and he knows he's awake, and he knows he's asleep, but he doesn't know which is longer. So he wanted to invent a clock so that he can track time. Well, the first thing his clock had to do was be in a dimension outside of the one that he was in, because he has no outside reference to see how much time has passed. So he created an equal and opposite dimension of him, which was like, not God, and a whole lot of it. I figured what it was what you scientists try to tell me should be at the center of a black hole. A whole lot of nothing compressed into a whole lot more nothing. There's no God, there's no energy, there's no nothing, because it's all nothing. And, well, this was all well and good, but God, not God, two-dimensional existence is just basic two dimensions. They're either God or they're not God. They're two equal and opposite dimensions that exist in the same place. Okay? But you couldn't figure out how much time has passed because there's no movement going on in the non-God dimension, just like there's lots of movement going on in the God energy dimension. So God took a fiber of non-God dimension and a fiber of the God dimension, and he weaved together what you all call the fabric of space-time. Okay, so now we have the basic three dimensions on which all reality is built. All right? We have God, pure energy, or we'll call that, the light. And we have the not God, which is, dark energy, which we'll call that the dark. And that's only because we're referring to God as the force. And God is two means, positive and negative energy. And they are woven together to make the space-time fabric. So God and not God is all around us. And you get to pick which one you want to hold on to. It's like Yoda says. You want to cling to the non-God fibers, then that's pretty much going to oversee your destiny, and same thing goes true if you cling to the God fibers. And you can have equal bunches of both or whatever, it's your choice. But that's the way we have the basic three dimensions that encompasses the space-time continuum. Now, we have to be able to move within the space-time continuum, so he made up some more dimensions, forward and backwards, up and down. Plus, he also made left and right. So you can go in all three dimensions, which is actually six. So we got the three basic dimensions that is the foundation of space-time fabric. And then we have six more dimensions that you can move around in. We're multi-dimensional beings, and we can access all these dimensions. And, well, that gets us up, let's see, 3 and 6, that's 9. So we only got 2 more dimensions to come up with, and we have the basic 11. Well, he is making a clock. Okay, he made a time dimension in which time can be measured. And then, because the basic fundamental laws of string theory says there has to be an equal and opposite, which is why we have the 6 dimensions. You have a forward dimension and an equal and opposite back dimension. You have a left dimension, you have an equal and opposite back and right dimension, you have an up dimension, you have an equal and opposite down dimension, and then we add the time dimension. You can be within the time dimension and move around with the flow of time, or you can be outside of time and move anywhere and go to any time, alternate time dimension that you choose to be in. And there, we have just named the 11 dimensions that string theory says must be in order for the math to work. And there they are, and that's where everything is built. The basic 11 dimensions of string theory for this clock, so we can have a clock with movement that he can measure time with, he's got to have some energy in there so the clock will work. And that's when he takes some of his energy and adds it to the space-time continuum, which what you guys refer to as the Big Bang. Okay, all of a sudden there's this energy and light all being put into space-time continuum, and it spreads out at the speed of energy. Energy is faster than light. Light travels faster than light, and dragging the light along with it, until at such time it started pulling away from the light. So now we have light and we have energy pulling away from the speed of light as the universe expands, and that point in time is measured by the background radiation that's everywhere in the universe, because it's more or less a light energy separation, a sonic boom that's recorded everywhere in the universe. That explains that one for you folks. Anyways, so yes, we can look out at the end of the universe and see that it's 13.8 billion years, but that's only the light that's made it back to our telescope. The actual universe is probably more like 22.6 billion years old. We just can't see that far because the light hasn't reached us yet. Okay, and now that we have this ever-expanding universe, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. So we're just going to fast forward to the beginning of our solar system. Our solar system, as the scientists will tell us, started with a star exploding. Well, great, it did that. And that explosion caused these itty-bitty little tiny rips in the space-time continuum. And these rips vibrate at specific frequencies that attract atoms and molecules of those frequencies. And our planet, the singularity at the center of our planet, attracts iron. Now, yes, there was this experiment in space where guys saw coffee grounds in a plastic bag that they kind of coagulated together. And this happens. And then those coagulated pieces get drawn to the rip in the space-time continuum that allows dark energy to pass through, but does not allow solid matter. And this is, basically just like what the scientists are saying about black holes. These iron molecules are attracted by the frequency. We have an iron core planet. And this can only go on for as long as the rip in the space-time continues. This will continue to gather more mass as the rip in the space-time continuum size itself. The bigger the rip, the bigger the planet. And whatever the planet's core is probably the frequency of that rip in the space-time continuum. Gravity is dark energy coming in to and through the planet on its way to that singularity, which is what holds you down on the planet. Okay? And this is how, we got the solar system with the different planets made of different things because they're all different frequencies. And yes, the whole mass thing that scientists are talking about is a part of it, but that thing that they say that's gravity coming in, well, that's really dark energy creating gravity by coming through you and going down. Okay, so we got that one covered.